Alright, this should be an interesting one. So, my friend sent me these to check out. So, we're going to put them on the bench. And we're going to see what's wrong with them. And should be kind of cool. The ts850 came out in about 1992. And it was the next radio up from the ts450. And I don't know that the 950 was actually yet available. So this radio is going to be like an early pre-DSP type of radio that has the ability to have the DSP 100 unit hooked to it. And these were about... When I looked in the magazines, in the 90s, they were $1,500. Full retail was $19.99. Apparently, the person he got this from, they said it was like $3,000 new, which is not even close. I don't know what the power supply would have costed, but probably not like super cheap. 200, 300, who knows what they were charging back then. The prices weren't real reasonable back then for certain stuff. Or maybe you got a deal and you got the power supply for free with the radio. It's hard to say. But if we go look in an old catalog and we find this radio, it's going to be well under $19.99. But still a cool radio nonetheless. I just hope he didn't pay too much for it. So, let's get it on the bench and take a look. Alright, there's the Kenwood, the power supply. And he told me, he's like, power supply's huge. I'm like, apparently I haven't seen an Astron 35. It does say it weighs 19 pounds on the box. With the power supply and the radio, you almost have a 950. You know, you almost have a 950. In size wise, or you know, like close to the size of a 940. They made a lot of different power supplies that look like this one. The old power supplies for the 430, 440, and then I think this would have been the one that went with the 450 also. It's unlikely it's 52 amps, so just call it PS52. But we could look it up. Got a little dust and stuff on it. It's kind of cool that the radio and all that is like double boxed. It's the original double boxing, which is cool. I noticed one thing that about the radio, that when I put it on the desk, it's like, why does that do that? So they have a common problem where this happens on a lot of these radios. The plastic bows out, or sometimes even completely cracks. Let me see if I can. So it is separate away. You can actually like pull up on it. I'm not exactly sure why it does that, but I've seen this on almost all of them actually. Yeah, so it's one of these little quirks that drives me nuts, because I put my hand on a radio sometimes, which probably explains why certain radios have marks on them. No, but these are not suffering from, I don't think they suffer from like the Kenwood 570s, where if you touch it too much, you wear off the coating that's on the plastic. Let's see. So I have a 570. I had one, and I think it's like this color with that color underneath it or something. But anyway, so Is it really showing up on the camera? But it really shouldn't be like that, and I don't know what they did that caused them all to do that. So he used it briefly, and just kind of tested it for receive and stuff like that. So we're gonna get the power supply hooked up. I've already actually did a little bit of testing with it, so I know what's up with it, but I haven't used the power supply with it, and I just thought it would make for a cool video to have the radio and the either the matching or very close to matching power supply. The colors, yeah, they're the same. I've not looked in here. That sucks. Well, yeah, so no voice recorder and a couple of other things that would plug into here. That's the thing that Kenwood did on a lot of the radios. Like, they had all these really cool options that you had to pay for, and a lot of times people never paid for them, and because they were expensive, really stupid expensive. So the VFO knob is the same as the ts850s. I've had about 3 or 4 ts850s, and I've fixed a couple. The bad synthesizer chip, and I had to order parts off of eBay because you can't get them anymore. And this uses all that same stuff, unfortunately. And I don't know why they fail, but they do fail. But this one works. So, but another common problem in the 450s are the auto tuners, and so I'm gonna guess this probably has the same problem as well. I'm pretty sure I've seen a few listings for these on QRZ. So I would put the value of these nowadays at somewhere around $400 or less. And that's just because why would you buy this when you can buy a used ICOM 7300 for $700? You can buy a brand new FT710. It's like number 3 on the Sherwood list, number 4 on the Sherwood list, for $899. And if you buy it from R&L Electronics, it would be no tax. Or if you live in Oregon, no tax. And several other states that don't have tax. But the thing is that the prices on all kinds of stuff are just not what they used to be. Like these radios here, well, they used to be like $1,200, and I don't know what they were new. $199 on sale for $14.99. Who knows? But they're not worth $900. Why would you spend $900 on a 3000 when you could go buy a 7300, a 710, an FTDX 10, any of those type of radios? So people have been trying to get, $500 for a lot of radios, and they just don't sell. Nobody will buy them, So I put these in the $400 or less category. You see them at the Hamfest. They usually want $450 for them, and nobody buys them. The one radios that I do see still selling for stupid money is the 950 SDX, and it has to be the SDX. And I don't know what the other one is, the 950S, but there's a 950S that says 950S digital, but it doesn't say SDX on it. And it's not the same, from what I understand. Those radios are $1,200, and you get these weird guys with lots of money that will go buy those radios and send it to some dude that goes through them and does all this stuff to them. And it's not like, I don't think it's the voodoo guy. But anyway, these radios here can do extra wide audio if you have the DSP 100, and there might be some other ways of doing it. But the preferred radio is the 870 for all that, because it has the DSP built into it. This doesn't have it. I'll show you on the back. So actually pretty sparse on the back. I was kind of shocked that it didn't have more than one antenna connector, because the little ts850 SAT has 2 connectors. As I recall, maybe I'm wrong, it's weird how they have this fuse here, which maybe is protecting the antenna. I don't know. It's a 3 amp fuse. It seems a little strange. The linear amp on or off. The IF out number 1, which is probably narrow. The remote for, you know, probably a TNC or something like that, or some kind of radio control. There is no CAT control on here. There is no RS-232. There's your CW key in the back. Electronic keyer on and off. That was the big deal between this and the 450, is this has a built-in electronic keyer. Which I'm surprised they didn't put in the 450. But the keyer, you know, if you're a CW guy, you probably wouldn't use a radio this old anyway. But the keyer, you know, if you want to use a 3-terminal plug, you could, you know, it's like an iambic paddle, you know, whatever, you can do that from this. I personally am not a CW person, but if I was, screw the paddle, give me a straight key. I don't want that BS. We have too much synthetic crap out there in keyboard CW warriors. So, you got your Vox back here, the accessory 2 plug, which is a 13 DIN pin, and then the DSP, which is a 13 DIN pin, I think. Yeah. Accessory 1, and then accessory 3, I don't know what that would be. And then you have DSP 1 and 2, which would plug into the DSP 100 module. And then there is, I'm not sure why, but there's this special little plug on RTTY. And I'm guessing that the plug shorts it. And then you have accessory 4, which is kind of like the connector that they would have used for some of their external antenna tuners. But it might be used for an amplifier control. So there's not what you would expect on the back of this. I would have expected a lot more connections. And I've seen the backs of these before, but I just kind of forgot. And then you have a little bit of squirrel cage kind of stuff back here, and possibly the fan is in there. I'm just really surprised they didn't add another antenna connector, because as I swear to God, the other radio had 2 connectors on it, because I remember having to make sure I was on A or B, and I believe the 570 has 2 connectors. But nonetheless, it's a cool looking radio, and at the time that it came out, it was a medium level radio. You know, it was like, well, you don't want to buy the 450, you can buy the 850. And I don't know what their flagship radio at that time was, but it wasn't this one. I think the 950 was out, and I think it was the early 950. But they might have still been selling the 940, because the 940 ran for a really long time. So the one thing I really like about the Kenwoods is their form factor, and how like their power supplies are just simple and clean looking. They did have some problems with the early 430 power supplies, and they're not putting out enough power or whatever. But anyway, let's get this hooked up and tested and see what the bands are looking at. Okay, so on over to the power supply. Wow. Why do they call this a 53 or a 52? The output is 16 amps. It's a little lackluster. So it must be just like 16 amps current, like solid key down. This radio can draw more than 16 amps. Any HF radio can draw about 21, 22 amps. They don't usually, but they can. A 100-watt radio, depending on the efficiency of the radio, can go up to like 22, 23 amps. It's common to see, it'll say like, see, look, this isn't even the right power supply for this technically. It says DC, 13.8 volts, 20.5 amps. So why is this 16 amps? Why would this be the power supply to use with this radio? What were they thinking? What are you supposed to run this 20-pound power supply with a 50-watt UHF VHF radio that only draws 12 amps? I mean, that's kind of what I would think. So the thing for me is I like things to be bulletproof, okay? I don't like running a 15 amp power supply with a 20 amp radio. Okay, you can do it, but is it smart to do? No, it's not. So, I remember now about the other power supplies. That's why I don't own any Kenwood power supplies. I do have 2 Kenwoods. I have a 430 and a 570. And I just run Astron 35s. And if I'm going to use something to test, I have Samlex 35 amp power supplies. 30 amp or whatever the hell they are. So, 16 amps, that's ridiculous. It is not recommended. But anyway, we're going to run it. So, here's the original Kenwood cable, the really weird ass, funky, plastic, heat shrink to death, quadruple wired Kenwood cords that only Kenwood ever did. But they're bound together unlike new Yaesu cords. ICOM still uses zip cord, but Kenwood also had a lot of problems with these cords. They didn't always work well. This particular radio, the cord doesn't like to release. I used one of my other cords, and I had a really hard time getting it off of there. It just, I don't know. But I like the terminals on the back, how they kind of like, did them like this. Some of the Astrons are kind of sketchy because you're like, shit, they could accidentally short this whole power supply out. If you just see the back of an Astron where the ring terminals go, you're like, they should have put something in between them, but they didn't. It's like, okay. So anyway, this one's been done up. I don't think it came from the factory, because this was actually like, these are the leads. They would have come pre-tinned, like that long. Yeah, they come pre-tinned that long. So whoever owned this put these on here and shrinked it with heat shrink, and then put some more right there. So very professional looking, but not shipped that way, as far as I know. Maybe Kenwood sent it like that. I don't think so though. And they weren't zip tied there. Either way, cool. It looks good, and it will fit on here easy. Another thing I remember about some of the other Kenwood power supplies was that they didn't quite put out enough voltage. They were a little bit on the low side, and people would go into the power supply and modify the power supply. Also, when you put these on here, you want to put them down towards the bottom. You don't really want them hanging up at the top. Another thing that Kenwood did that's like super annoying is they put these little legs on here that you cannot replace. These ones are still okay, but a lot of times they're cracked and they fall off. And they did it even worse on like the 430s. They put like some kind of rubber thing in there that would deteriorate. So they should have put legs in here that you could, replace, or just nothing at all. Not as dumb as Yaesu, who dimpled out the case on the FT450, and it's just metal, and if you were to use that as legs for the 450, you would wear it through the paint. But yeah, this is stupid. They did this goofy thing. I think there's a way to replace them, but of course you can't buy them anymore. You know, a lot of radios, they're going to be missing or broken or cracked. Another thing that would have been nice to have seen is a 3-prong cord on the power supply. I don't know why they didn't do that. ICOM and everybody else did. I don't recall ever seeing or having a Yaesu power supply. And also, the ICOMs usually use a computer cord, which is what I like about those ones. Let's get this power supply over here. Get this thing set up. Another thing I noticed is there's no flip down bail, and it looks like the legs might have had those adjusters, then they've been removed because they possibly broke like on the 940s. So yeah, it almost looks like, you know, the form factor of a 950 when you put the power supply next to it. I really like radios that have the power supply in them. I just think it adds a coolness factor to it, and like just less extra stuff like hanging out. Because I mean, look, this is a big radio. Add the speaker and you've really got some real estate. The speaker would be as big as that. So a 950, 150 watt radio too, has the built-in power supply, and it's probably about, I'd say, I don't even know, it might be even just a little tad bigger. You can see the 3000 over here. So, but this is how I like a radio to be, you know, when you have plenty of room. Obviously not mobile. Obviously I would never want to use this portable probably. So let's see. We have the microphone, which these have been made for years and years and years. They can be really creaky, some of them. This one's not bad. It looks okay. The connector here looks really, really shiny, and I'm wondering why. If it maybe just had the connector on it the entire time, or this thing just sat in a box. And these things, they don't really like to sit, so before I started this video, I had it on all last night. Didn't make any clunks or anything like that. I did notice it does this. Let's see if it does it again. It's a possible sign of capacitors. See that? It comes on like that, which is strange because you usually don't. Now, one of the things I was interested in to see. So, another thing that was really common on the 450s, I don't know if it's a problem with these, is the capacitor right next to one of the regulator heat sinks. It just gets cooked and it usually ends up leaking. Okay. We are on 80 meters. So with this radio, you have what they call AIP. And if AIP is off, it's basically like having a preamp on. It's not the same as Yaesu's version. I think Yaesu is called IPO, Intercept Point Optimization. This is, I know what it's called, I just can't remember now. And it might be like automatic intercept point or something, but anyway, it needs to be on, otherwise it reads too high. That's the other thing I've noticed about this radio is it reads way too high. Okay. With AIP off, we're reading 20 over. Okay. RF gain. So one of the things you'll notice with an RF gain, if you roll the RF gain back, it goes full scale. So when you run into a radio that has a problem with receive, sometimes the meter will read really, really high because the RF gain circuit, how it works. Now, you got AGC, slow, mid, fast. And with no AGC, you don't get a meter reading. That's normal. Now, if you're going to be testing, just leave it on fast. You will have it on fast for AM. But for sideband, you definitely want it on slow. You could use it on mid if you want. Another thing to make sure that you have turned off on this, you don't want the auto tune on, which doesn't seem to work. So, does this radio not have a tuner? Oh, it's because it's through or auto. So there's... Okay, let's see if it works. Okay. But it kicked the light off, so... It's probably, let me put it on the dummy load and see what it does. And then this is your MOX button, receive, send. I really hate these things because I've seen people get a radio and they don't know the thing's on. And the damn radio's sitting there transmitting. Look, I'm transmitting right now. So the microphone's right here. And the microphone's hooked up. And we're transmitting. Into the dummy load, right there. Hello, 1, 2, 3, 4. You know. Now, hello, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that button could be sitting on there, and somebody doesn't even know they've hooked this radio up. They just bought it out of Hamfest, and boom, they burned the fucking thing up. So, they're like, why is it not receiving? Because there's a lot of buttons on the damn thing, and it's you know, or they have the Vox on. So the Vox, there goes the Vox. The Vox is working. You got full and semi break-in for CW. High boost, I don't know if that's for receive or transmit. Hit the dim button. You hit the processor. Pretty much just don't use that thing. It's going to be horrible. You hit the monitor button, which is talkback basically in CB world. Processor will turn that all the way back. We'll turn the monitor all the way back. The power button is down here. It's the outside one. Okay. And then you get your mic gain. Just put that at 12 o'clock. You have the attenuator. Okay. And see how much noise we have on the dummy load? I'm on the dummy load. We should never have any noise on the dummy load. Something's not right. And you can hear it. Okay, we've engaged the attenuators. We have 12 plus 16. We have 18 dB of attenuation. And we're still reading on the meter. If you turn AIP on, it's almost normal. But so AIP, with it off, you basically have a preamp. We have S7 noise on the dummy load. So that's not right. And then about S3 with AIP on. Auto intercept point. So, okay, we got that. All right, we're gonna leave AIP on. So this is the carrier control, and the carrier control does the same thing the power control does. If you have both of them screwed up, you're gonna be in trouble. But the carrier control is more for AM and possibly FM. Power will only affect sideband, but they will both affect. So if you're on AM and you have the power turned all the way down and the carrier all the way up, it probably won't put out any power. And if you have the carrier all the way down on AM, it won't put out any power. So that can get confusing. I don't know why they did that way. So let's go over to AM, FM. Okay. And no power. It also doesn't read on the meter. It doesn't read SWR at the same time that it reads anything else. In fact, I don't even know if this radio actually reads SWR. It doesn't have a meter switch like the 450 did. So, let's see. So you see there? Okay, so let's go ahead and turn the carrier up all the way. And it's beeping because the radio is drawing so much power it's causing my UPS to bog down. So it says ALC full power, 100 watts. Okay. And we had the power all the way up, and we turn the power all the way down. Now, with the power all the way down, you get like 10 watts. You see what I'm saying? So, it would make you think something's wrong with the radio. And when I first got it on the bench, I was like, that's weird. As we go lower sideband, with the power all the way up and the carrier all the way down. Hello, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, 1, 2, 3, 4. See, we have like very low power. Power all the way up. Carrier all the way down. Hello, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's like 50. I am finding an odd behavior. So, power's up all the way, carrier's down all the way on sideband. We're looking at average power right now, though. Hello, 1, 2, 1, 2. It's hello. It goes up to 50. Okay, but watch this. Turn the carrier up all the way. Hello, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. It's like it had what appeared to be an effect. But it shouldn't. The carrier shouldn't have no effect on sideband. Let's go to peak. Hello, peak 1, 2, 3, 100. Carrier all the way down. Hello, 1, 2. Okay, that looks normal. Let's put the carrier back up. Carrier's up all the way. Power is down all the way. Hello, 1, 2. We have to take it off of peak because we're not reading anything. Hello. So with the power all the way down, I think it's the power. And the carrier up all the way, we get about 5 watts, maybe 3 watts. We turn the carrier down. It seems like it changes a little bit. There seems to be like a slight bit of interaction on single sideband. Now let's try FM. One thing I wish they would have did like the other Kenwoods was an individual button for each mode, not a button that does both modes. So like this button is upper sideband, lower sideband. This one's CW and FSK. This one's AM and FM. The other radios would have buttons all the way down, and it would just be like LSB, USB, CW, FSK. It looks nicer, and I like it because I don't have to push the button twice. I just think it's more of a Cadillac kind of thing. But does this not have FM? Okay. Right. About 80 watts on FM. It reads the 100 on the radio though. Okay. Let's turn the power down and see. Okay. So you get about 9 watts with the power down. And it will turn the power back up. I'm going to roll the carrier back. So on FM, power and carrier obviously work to control it. I just barely opened the carrier. So the carrier and the power control both affect FM. And then we go over to CW, and it's on CW reverse, which we don't want. I guess you just probably long press it. How did we get out of CW reverse? That's weird. Oh, so another thing, when you push these buttons on the Kenwoods, that's Morse code. Did it? Did So they have it on CW reversed. I don't know why. And I don't know. I don't know how to change it. And this radio does put out power when you key it up on CW. It's not 100 watts. It's 80. The radio lies and says it's 100. I haven't run across the radio that read 80 on my watt meter here. It's leaving 20 something watts on the table. Usually they're more than 100 actually on CW. Okay. So we've tested that. I don't know about the reverse, but let's go see if we can hear something. Get it off the dummy load. I want to see. Okay, let's go. Okay, through or auto? Alright. Hello, test. We don't have any way of testing it because it doesn't have an SWR meter. And if I'm not using my tuner down here, I don't know what it's reading. Because all the tuning is happening within the radio. How do you know that this radio is not happy if you don't have an SWR meter? I know SWR isn't the end-all be-all. I mean, I use radios that don't have SWR meters. I thought this did. It's got to have an SWR meter. Button's right there. Got it. Anyway. So you got SWR, ALC, or nothing. Why would you not want the rest of it on there? I think this would have been a really cool radio if they would have put a meter in it, a regular meter. And then you have your IF here, the 883. So it's got a 500 CW filter probably. And then everything else is probably standard. Because if you look right here, you can see the 270. And that would be for that IF. Now, you can turn that IF off as far as filter. 12K, 6K, and 2.7K. And like the 450 does the same thing, which I think is really cool. You can change the filter for both of the IFs or something like that. There's not that many filters in this radio, but it does some kind of cascading where it accomplishes it. So let's jump down to, just go right here. I just want to see this for a second. Okay, so if it tuned that, I'm going to be surprised. It says it did, though. So it claims that it tuned my 80-meter loop on 160. And it did it like that. So that's pretty cool. But I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't trust it. Okay. We're way out of the band here. I think he was listening to shortwave. So I believe it does have a band stack. Let's go here. Tune. Get a little bit of an SWR, not much. Let's get out of that mode and CQ contest. You can hear the fast chopping. Now this guy is not that loud. 30 over? Nope.
I stopped into a record shop, and it kind of blew me away. There were thousands and thousands of 45 RPM records. Took me back to the days at the radio station when they had the library. And
so yeah, the meter is not right.
So it was a nice.
He's reading almost 20 over.
Day.
We've also got way high noise floor. So normally I would probably have it like S3, S4, maximum of like S5 on 40 meter band. All right. And we've got this RXTX thing here. A equals B. A. You can move it over to here. You operate split. A little funny little stutter when you push the button. So okay. Let's go. It doesn't have a keypad for like the bands, I don't think. It's like weird. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and if you see the secondary functions. So usually this would be a band tune. You have the find button. There's the reverse. Okay. Okay, let's go. Way out of the band. It doesn't really have a fast, so it can take quite a while. Let's go to the maritime net. Okay. Not hearing anything. It reads S9 on the noise floor, which is wrong. AIP is supposed to be on. Still too high. Okay, let's go up to... We're way the hell out of this thing. These frequencies are strange. Way high.
local, and then we're going to go back to normal weather for this time of year. But I don't know what
sounds really
the rain forecast
odd. I think maybe
here,
I need to change this
but we're
IF.
certainly looking forward to.
That's too narrow. You hear I can't hear him? I should be able to.
Limited anyway. Okay, Mark, back to you.
So
W0KYZ, WA680.
6K on the first IF and 2.7. Okay, so this is another thing here on this radio that needs to be adjusted properly.
Go ahead, Roland.
You see that?
He may be signed out.
But what I see is that's the slope. It only works when you have it on here.
Go ahead and mark him out here. Okay, well, we got another.
You see it doesn't really have any effect? A little bit.
And that is Chuck. Probably comes up with Charles. Sure enough.
So to get rid of the extra noise, you want to narrow it up to 2.7. It'll make them not sound as nice, but and then you can adjust the high cut. And you can adjust the low cut. The low cut doesn't really do a lot. I find I don't really use that much on a lot of radios. Certain radios it works good on. This one you're better off to just change the filter. But it sounds a little pinched at that 2.7. 2.7 is really, in my opinion, way too narrow.
Yeah, no copy of Chuck. I remember when he checked in here the other day. He checked,
I like to use it wide open,
he had a good signal.
but then you can't really do anything with that. So you're going to have to compromise and narrow one of them. The slope and all that on the 940 is really, really good. Okay, let's go up a band. I'm so far away from anything. Okay, take it off CW. And the tuner affects receive on this, I believe. You should be able to tune the radio and watch the signal come up. This will need that AIP on. Okay. It's got that droning noise. It's like, eh. It's just a funny sound. Alright.
F2 noise. I'm also using a dipole cut for 12 meters. Horizontal wire dipole of about 45 feet. And the transceiver here is an Icom 7600. I'm running 100 watts to the dipole. Over.
I don't know, can you enter the frequency? So we go 28300. Nine.
Kilo Queen 2 India Delta Fox 5915.
I need to get my paper out.
Thank you. 9 America 5 Yankee.
Kilo Golf 7, Hotel Victor Romeo.
5 Yankee. Contact.
Kilo Golf 7, Hotel Victor Romeo.
Again.
I don't know. How are you supposed
Bravo 8 Uniform Juliet Uniform 5915.
How are you supposed to know when they say again if they're talking to you?
Number 2, Roger.
9.
9 America 5 Yankee. Contact.
9.
Sticky contact. 9
America.
America 5 Yankee. 9 Alpha 5 Yankee.
Kilo Golf 7, Hotel Victor Romeo.
Record 3 Whiskey Golf Yankee 5915.
Ah, dang.
Thank you. 9 America 5 Yankee. Sticky contact. 9 America 5 Yankee. 9 America 5 Yankee.
Kilo Golf 7, Hotel Victor Romeo.
Again.
Kilo Golf 7, Hotel Victor Romeo.
Kilo Golf 7 Hotel.
Kilo Golf 7, Hotel Victor Romeo.
Hotel Tango Romeo 5915.
QSL 57, number 1.
Thank you. 9 America 5 Yankee. Contact.
Alright.
Norway 6 Alpha Alpha 5915.
It works, but
Thank you. 9 America
if he was
5
really
Yankee.
5'7", that would have been a little easier, I think.
9 America 5 Yankee. 9 Alpha 5
Let me put it on the dummy load really quick and see. Hello. What in the hell? It says 10 watts. Something's not right. Hello. See, it's got SWR. I need to go off of the frequency here. Oh, I can't tell how much it's putting out because I've got reflected. All right. Let's turn off that. Let's go back over to dummy load. Hello, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 1 2. Well, the radio shows 50 watts. Hello. Oh, 50 maybe, yeah, but definitely lower than normal what it reads. Oh, I got about 40 on the meter down there. Let's go over to CW. It reads full on CW and 80 on the tuner. It's acting a little different on 10. Anyway. We'll look at this a little bit more because the video is almost an hour long. So this is just kind of my review of this radio for my friend. So hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'll make a couple more videos about it. And we'll check a couple more things on it.